Okay, so I assume you watched my preparation video for the upgrade process from Windows 7 or 8 or 8.1 to version 10 of Windows for your free upgrade. I'm not sure how long this upgrade offer will still work. However, if you follow up the procedure in my previous video, you should be at this point over here. This is a clean install of Windows. If you look over here, you'll see that there's absolutely nothing installed. The what's that, about 25 gigs or so that the actual Windows 7 is using. Let me double check those numbers. 63.8 minus 38. Yeah, 25.8 gigs. So that's how much the Windows 7 with all the updates, everything installed, uses. All right. A few things you must check before you start. Run this disk cleanup utility. All right. But prior to that, however, before you start the disk cleanup, you want to go and check for Windows updates. All right, check for updates. That's what you're searching for. So even though it says it's green over here, I'm going to just click check for updates to make sure the thing is actually up to date. Yours might also display as green, but it's very important that you install every single necessary update before you proceed with this installation, and restart the computer as often as it asks, and just keep it might take quite a while. I mean, this I think installed almost 240 updates. It was a copy of Windows 7 Professional, not even Service Pack 1, because what will happen when you upgrade Windows 7, if you write at the base level, it'll start at Windows 7, then it'll put Service Pack 1 on, then it will actually upgrade the updater itself. So you've got to go through this entire process until such time as Windows 7 says to you right there, as it says with my installation, that everything is up to date. It must come back after checking for updates with a nice green screen. Install everything. Install every single update. You want as minimal problems as possible after installing or prior to installing Windows 10. You want everything up to date. There's another procedure you've got to go through after checking for the updates. The very last time when you see the screen is nice and green where it says your computer is up to date, that is when you run this. You ideally, see like that there? It's a good idea right now just to make sure that your everything is fine. I'm just going to actually take that disk drive out that I had in there. So I'm going to restart this process. You'll notice that because I'm running on a virtual machine, which is kind of like a mini computer running on another computer. This is just a simulation. It's real software, but yeah, it's pretty nippy. As you can see, your Windows will never restart as quick as this. But yeah, I'm doing this all real time. So after you've done the checking for the updates and you've restarted once after you've seen that it's all green, then what you're going to do is the following, and that is you're going to run this disk cleanup utility, all right, to clear out all the old files, okay, to make sure that you have maximal or maximum free space, I should say. Hard to believe that I wrote an English exam just 4 months ago. But yeah, here we go. So this is going to go through everything, and it's going to leave your computer nice and clean and give you plenty of free space. It's absolutely critical that you have a minimum of 30 gigs of free space on your C drive. If you have a manufacturer that's made a C, I'm just going to quickly minimize this a bit here. The only difference that I've made with this copy of Windows is I've made the text a bit larger to make it easier. So hopefully that doesn't cause problems. It might cause problems in installation. I'm also going to clean up the system files over here in that program. You'll see it'll go cleaning system files over there. It's going to leave that running. So you must have 30 gigs free on the C drive. And as I mentioned in the previous video, there mustn't be any previous installations. If you check the preparation video, you'll see what I'm referring to. Okay, so let this finish. I'm going to make 100% sure that everything's fine. Restarting is a good thing to do prior to you want to have a completely flushed, clean memory and as little clutter as possible before you start the actual upgrade process. Any antivirus software must be disabled, uninstalled, removed completely from your system prior to starting. That's one thing you've got to leave off. If you have any anti-spyware, antivirus, any sort of scanning software like McAfee, Smart Scan, or whatever the heck you have, Norton's, ESET, anything like that, you take it off because it will cause or possibly cause problems with your installation. If you have Bitdefender, if you have Trend Antivirus, Avast, AVG, anything like that, you take it off. I guess I'm going to run this now just to make sure that everything's fine. There we go. It's going to delete all the files, unnecessary files. and you'll see it'll make it nice and clean. There we go. Cleaning drive C. Now yours might take a good 15-20 minutes to clean up all these files, because obviously if you had a lot of updates, it's going to download those. If you've been browsing the internet a lot, it's going to make temporary files. So please do not expect yours to necessarily go as fast as this. But as I said, the best thing to do after this, give it a restart. So now I've got all my updates up to date. My antivirus is not on yet. There's no antivirus whatsoever. I've prepared the disk as I did in my previous video that I demonstrated after downloading the file from the internet and using the media creation tool. I'm sure that I've got a legal licensed copy of Windows. If I go to Control Panel and I click on System, it will say Windows is activated, genuine Microsoft product. It's on Service Pack 1. All the patches are applied. I've got the right specs for the machine. I'm not exactly sure what the minimum requirements are, but I have found that on very, very old machines, Windows 10 is not a good idea. However, I'm going to now install this and show you how it all works. So I'm going to insert that disk that I prepared in my preparation video, and here we go. Insert, and let's run the setup process, shall we? Yes, there we go. You must be a local administrator. If somebody has locked you out or not made you a local admin, in other words, if it's a computer company that you're trying to upgrade your boss's computer, please check with your IT guy before doing this. Okay, so I'm going to do the rest, and I'm going to go download updates, recommended, and it'll check for updates. Now, technically, it should be up to date. This might be doing a combination of downloading Windows 7 updates for the installation as well as Windows 10. I'm not sure. It's a bit vague, that getting updates, what it's referring to. But please do the preparation that I mentioned earlier. So it looks like this is completely up to date. Now, please bear in mind that your installation might go a bit slower than this because, first of all, I'm running on a 200 megabit fiber line here. Yours might be faster or slower. And so if there's things to download, it'll take a while. Then you'll find that it'll ask you for your version. Now, if you are running Windows 7 Professional, just click there, Control Panel, and then your thing might look like this. All right, it might look like that. If you're confused by the screen layout, then just click that. Small icons. Like I said, I take no responsibility. If you do this upgrade, please make sure you have have a data backup. I've never personally had a failure. If you remove the antivirus, if you've got enough free space, you've run the updates, you've done a clear out. These installations, I have never, in over 1,000 installations that I've done myself or had my staff do, probably 3,000 or 5,000, we've not had a failure. All right, it either works or it reverts back to normal. So just bear that in mind. So I normally leave it as small icons. You can leave it as large or whatever, but small is what I normally use. And I'm going to go to System over here, and you'll see it says my name, my computer, it's activated, and it says there Windows 7 Professional. So if you have Windows 7 Home, then you will install the Home Edition. If you have Windows 7 Education, etc., you'll put that. But generally, I'm going to install the Windows 10 Pro. You cannot, if you're running a Windows 7 Home, you cannot put Pro on. Just remember that, and vice versa, because the license that you have is for Windows 7 Pro. You must have a legal activated license for this to work. So, next. This should work. So this is going to check for updates. These will be updates for the actual Windows 10 process. I'm going to do this live. It's 12:17 p.m. here on the 5th of September 2018, and I see that I've got the regional settings set to America because the month is first. Who in the world ever decided that was a great idea? I have no idea, but here we go. We're installing. So this will be checking for updates, and I'm just going to leave that to finish its thing. I am going to leave this to do it actually live, so you get a rough idea of how long this will actually take. If you have an optimized, if you have an SSD in your machine, if everything is perfect, this should be it. Look, this machine is not the ultimate speed machine that you're going to get, but it's pretty darn good. So it's running on an SSD, albeit through a slowed down interface. So the hard drive should run as pretty fast as possible. The fiber line should be pretty quick. There's a lot of things in its favor, this particular copy. It's nice and clean, the Windows, so there's nothing else on this machine. So it should go as smooth as possible. There shouldn't be any problems with this whatsoever. So let's hoping that it installs and works properly. I'm actually going to be using this Windows 10 machine that I'm prepping at the moment for my training videos and stuff. So not only is this a tutorial, it's a preparation video for actually preparing my training series that I intend on doing. I intend on touching on Linux and a few other products as well that I've become more versed in lately, and hopefully educating people on how to use Windows Linux. Even perhaps get myself a little what they call a Hackintosh running here. I've done that as well, where you run a Mac OS, so basically a Mac computer on a Windows PC. So yeah, there's many things I have to share. There we go. We're checking for updates. It's picked up some steam, and this shouldn't take too long. It should just be a bit of a delay. I'm actually going to switch off the sound, and I'm going to go downstairs and get some coffee. Well, that was certainly quicker than I thought. So we're ready to install. Now we're going to install Windows 10 Pro, and we're going to keep, because this is an upgrade, we're going to keep the personal files and apps. Here we go. Please ensure you have a backup. Let me repeat that. Make sure before you do any sort of procedure like this that you have a full backup. You don't want to lose your work. It's very, very, make sure your photos, your mail, etc. is all backed up. And as it says, the computer will restart several times, and it may take a while. So let's leave it. I must say, this is certainly going a lot quicker than I expected. We're now 4 minutes into the installation, and it's really cruising. Note that because this is a virtual machine, the sound and audio or effects might not work. But generally, when you actually install this, the little handy utility called Cortana pops up, and she tries to guide you through the entire installation process. But essentially, this computer that I'm installing it on has not got a sound card, so you won't get that. Also, very important, a lot of times you want to leave your regional settings as US or UK, or some area where you have a where Cortana, the helpful assistant, actually works. Because if, like in South Africa, Cortana does not work. If you set the regional settings to South Africa, it won't work. So what I normally do is I set my regional settings to the US, and then I change the format of my dates and times manually so that there's no problem. I want the functionality of the Cortana. So when I say, "Hey Cortana," that's her starting up my computer in the background. And she's going to say something now. Or she opened up a web browser. You can't see that. But I'm going to do it again. "Hey, Cortana, what's the weather like today?"
The forecast shows partly sunny skies with a high of 20 degrees and a low of 11 degrees.
Okay, so if you want that functionality inside your computer, you will want to choose a regional setting when you install Windows, when you finally get into Windows, of the United States, UK, or somewhere in the world where Cortana is supported. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so this is certainly cruising. I mean, that is, we're what, 7 minutes into the installation and we're ready. Windows 10 is almost up. And there we go, working on updates. Do not turn off your PC. And a word of advice, do not switch off your computer or try anything. Ensure that you have a notebook that the power is plugged in. And because if you do interrupt this, your computer probably will not start again. And there you see the Windows 10 is restarting for the first time. It is now 12:36. So 17, that's 19 minutes. Yep, there we go. First restart. And as you can see, it's suddenly picking up the pace like crazy. Could jump from 30 to 45 in a matter of seconds. It's really not a painful process. This is just a matter of, starting the process up, stepping away, getting a cup of coffee. I am concerned about this machine perhaps not activating due to the fact that I am running it on a virtual machine. I'm not sure if special rules might apply to licenses for Windows 7 that have been activated on a virtual machine, because it's so easy to duplicate one of these computers. Not that they can really be used in the real world, except if you're running it on a server, but you never know. Microsoft has different prerequisites for various installations. So if this works, then you can pretty much be guaranteed that this upgrade process will work on every single computer out there. As long as you have a legal Windows 7 Home, then you'll upgrade to Windows 10 Home, or Windows 8 Pro, Windows 7 Pro license, which in that case you'll upgrade to Windows 10 Pro. You must match it correctly. You can't go from Windows 7 Home, as I said, to a Windows 10 Pro. It's got to be Home to Home, and I think Starter Edition also goes to Home. There we go, another restart. So this actually is picking up the speed quite nicely now. I think Windows 7 Starter upgrades to Windows 10 SLE, Single Language Edition. I'm not sure if the process is supported, but you'll have to just check with the disk. It'll pop up with the right version if it is. And there we go. Now we're on 75%. Great. So that's 3 restarts. Granted, the more software you have on your system, possibly the more it will actually restart, because it might pick up different updates for different things. I would advise anything that is like special, like plugged into your machine, just unplug it completely before you start this entire process. Like printers and scanners and any special peripherals you have, just unplug them and let the Windows update cleanly. And then when your Windows installation is 100% up to date, then you can start plugging everything in. But I'm doing this real time deliberately, so you guys can get a rough idea of how long this takes and what the process actually looks like. Granted, I wish I did have a sound card in this computer, so you could actually see Cortana do something. I'm not sure if sound will be carried through with this virtual machine connection, but I doubt it. So we'll have to just do this on mute mode, essentially. Just hear the relaxing sound of my voice as we do this. %. Here we go. I must say it's quite difficult to read the screen from where I am. There we go, 100%. Now what? There we go, restart. Oh, and now we've got the advantage of we can actually set the screen a bit larger. You can't see this, but I can actually set the screen to a better size. I'm going to just close this for the moment and leave it as standard. So there we go. Now we're in the final stages of installation. I'm going to leave it as it is. I don't want to fiddle with it. The resolution that this starts in as a... okay, so here we go. We have a whole bunch of things here. I'm actually going to try and see what happens. Enhanced session. I'm going to try and just fix the screen ratio right now. Maybe it'll be a bit more pleasant to look at. Connect. Okay. And... will it look a bit better? Yes, it actually does look a bit better. Great. Okay, so that's my username. I'm going to sign in. Welcome. And there we have a whole bunch of things there to look at. Okay, so it's not quite where I want it, but at least it's easier to read. Choose your. Now, I normally leave this default. You can switch off things if you want, like advertising and inking. I normally just leave default. I fiddle with it afterwards. Accept. And there we go. Welcome to the best Windows by far. Now, bear in mind, a lot of people seem to think this here, this little... Okay, I'm going to cancel that. I'm not going to fix the apps that are blurry because I'm quite happy the way it is at the moment. This here is not Internet Explorer that you see over here. If you want the old Internet Explorer, you type it in over here. There it is over there, and you can pin it to the taskbar if you want. Bear in mind, the first while we're sitting here, things are busy downloading in the background. As you can see, Windows is still setting up. And Cortana's there. I'm not going to speak to her right now because that's going to be really confusing because I've got Cortana running on my main machine. But it looks like sound is actually working, which is brilliant. So unfortunately, I've essentially got two Cortanas running on this computer at the moment. One inside this little box that I have here, and one inside, or one on my computer. So I don't want to confuse it by saying anything. And that's it. We have it loaded. Now, let's check how much free space we have on our drive. And then click that little folder over there. But first, I want to just check this. See, things are loading pretty quickly, but I've got a very high-speed connection. So bear in mind, you might want to just leave the computer on for a while. And before you start installing new software, please let it finish and update. Don't be impatient. Let it finish. Let it do its thing in its own time. If you go to system over here, so it's now 12:42 essentially. So it took about 25 minutes to set everything up from scratch. Okay, that's from a nice clean installation. There we go. As you can see, all the devices have been picked up. Now on your computer, it might take a while for these things to come up. So I'll tell you what I did here. I clicked start. I typed in control panel. There it is. And then I went to system. And you can see my Windows is actually activated. It worked first time. So that's great. Yours might give problems, all right? And then you just got to click troubleshoot, and it'll normally say, we found the activation key and it worked fine. So this is right there. If this activates, you can be guaranteed that pretty much any legal license key will work. I mean, right there, there's proof of the pudding. Eh? So go to the device manager, and these things will gradually all download. The longer you leave your computer on, let your computer stay on for at least an hour. Okay, and this will all be downloaded. You can check the status of most updates by clicking this little start button and typing in check updates. Check update. See there? Check for updates. And normally it'll display over here on the right. If you click check for update, ignore that where it says no updates available. There are updates, trust me, because even the very latest copy of this, there you go. See, so it's busy downloading updates for Adobe Flash for Windows 10. It's updating Windows Defender antivirus. Windows 10 is quite nice because it's got a built-in antivirus. I wouldn't say it is as good as a corporate edition like ESET or maybe what they call it, Nod 32. It's certainly better than Bitdefender. I wouldn't use Bitdefender if you paid me. But it's certainly better than Avast, the free stuff. It's better than AVG. If you buy a corporate product like Malwarebytes, might have edge on it. But regardless, it's got a decent built-in antivirus. So you're not completely unprotected like you were with Windows 7 in the old days. So it's busy downloading everything you need. Now, what you're going to do, you're going to keep downloading everything over here. And then you're going to make sure every now and again under the control panel, there's probably an easier shortcut to what I'm doing, but this is the way I've always just done it. So old habits die hard, you know. And when all these things here are up to date, there's no yellow symbols there or anything like that. When it's a nice list like this without any errors, you can restart. There might be one or two items that you're just going to have to download a driver for, but generally, especially if you have a video card, that might be required. But otherwise, that's it. And then... Okay, so wow, apparently I'm completely up to date. That's just brilliant. That's wow. Okay, now just for the sake of it, you're going to click that and restart. That was exceptionally quick. And I'm busy restarting. I'm going to say reconnect over here. There it is, busy restarting. And I'm in again. The first half an hour to 2 hours, depending on your internet connection, things might be a bit sluggish, but thereafter it'll speed up. It has to do with a bit of an indexing process that it goes through. Just remember that. That's quite normal, okay? I don't want to do that right now. That looks good. All right, so that's it. Windows is installed. Now let's see how much space we have left on our C drive. I'm not going to put my OneDrive on it. You can configure everything to hot content later. So I've actually got 30 gigs free of 63. And this here is your old Windows installation files. So it shows you just how, whoa, video is disconnected. That's odd. I don't know what's going on there. It's busy picking up drivers. That's what it is. So don't panic. That's just my machine picking up drivers. Okay, so I'm not going to do that. So it's still busy installing. So don't panic. All right, don't panic. Like I said, leave it on for a while, then restart. It's busy downloading stuff in the background, even though you can't see it. But what I am going to do right now is I'm going to go to type in this again, disk cleanup. All right, now only do this. I would advise you only do this after you've run the computer for a week and you're happy that everything's working. All right, I'm going to just clear out. I'm going to click clean up system files. Give that, like I said, leave it a week to a month. If you've got enough free space in your C drive, please don't remove your old Windows installation until you're 100% you're happy. All right, so here we go. It's going to search for things. This might take a while. What it's going to remove, if I choose it to do so, or tell it to do so, is that folder over there. All right. So it's basically used up 8 gigs of space. That's what the whole installation is used. Well, no, it was 25 gigs, so 13, 14 gigs of space is getting used by Windows 10. Windows 10 is a much smaller, lighter, more stable product. No matter what anyone tells you, it is a phenomenal product to use for business. It's one of Microsoft's best products they've ever made. It really is. It's a good product. Okay. Wow. We can even... So that's quite a 25.5 gigs. That's how big Windows 7 was, all right? So now I'm going to clean all of this out, okay? Delete those files. Like I said, leave it a month, please, or a week at least, and then you can remove these things. I'm quite confident I'm going to keep this as it warns you there. If you clean the previous Windows installations or temporary, you will no longer be able to restore the machine back. That's fine. I'm going to do that, yeah. Yeah. But you can do this a week or month after you're happy that everything's working. I must say, out of thousands of computers that I've installed and upgraded, and I mean literally thousands, would that be literally and figurative? Yes, I've actually done thousands and had my staff done thousands of installations of Windows. We have not had issues where we could not recover from it and we could not get the data back. It just boils down to making sure you have a backup of everything. Sometimes we have antivirus conflicting. That's why it's so important to completely uninstall antivirus before you start. So just bear that in mind. So here we go. Previous Windows installation, busy clearing out everything. And then we'll see how much free space is left on the drive afterwards. Had a bit of a disagreement with the guy, said that Windows 7 is smaller than Windows 10. He's obviously wrong and uninformed, but he's a Linux guy. I mean, this is a guy that set up a C drive, a D drive, and a swap partition for Windows. So his opinion on this on Windows is pretty much a moot point. I wouldn't really give him too much credibility as far as his opinion on Windows. But yeah, this is the ideal way to set up Windows with a C drive, no D drive. The nice thing about this installation now, if you've got a backup of everything, you can now take a clean Windows boot disk from the, if the Windows has activated, right? You now have a digital license attached to this computer. You don't have to worry about a license anymore. That's it. This computer, for the life of this computer, will now have a digital key assigned to it. All right. So what you can do is you can put another disk in right now once it's activated, and it will set up that computer nice and clean with no messy files, and you can reinstall all your stuff and it will activate automatically. That is the beauty of Windows 10. No more license keys. You buy it once legally. Please don't pirate. It's a lot of money goes into the research and development that Microsoft do here. And then that's it. From that point on, that computer will activate every single time you install Windows. And we'll see how much free space we have left after this, just to prove my point that Windows 10 is a nice, small, lightweight operating system. And we'll go here. And there you have it. Whereas before, I only had 30 gigs free. Now I have 50.4 gigabytes free. So if you need proof, Windows 10 is substantially smaller and uses less space, runs faster, loads faster, boots faster, has a number of extra features such as on-demand cloud services, etc. Windows 10 is just a better operating system. I hope you guys have found this video useful and didn't mind watching the entire thing. I know I didn't have to do it all in real time, but you can just skip ahead from parts that you didn't like. Thanks so much for watching, and this is how you upgrade your computer in September 2018 from Windows 7 or Windows 8 or Windows 8.1 from version Home or Pro to Windows 10 Home or Pro, and you can still do it. It's not blocked at this point, but you do this all at your own risk. I take no responsibility for your actions. If you don't make backups or you screw up something, the liability is all yours. I take no responsibility for it. Please ensure that your software is legal. Do not pirate. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and a like, and please subscribe to my channel. If you have any ideas that you want me to do in future as far as tech videos go, let me know. I can do videos on Linux, I can do videos on networking, I can do videos on Windows, I can do videos on Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and numerous other products as well. So thanks for watching. Till next time, this is Craven signing.